Aloha Jivas, welcome to our reading of Bhagavad Gita as it is by A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Prabhupad. We are reading chapter 3 and we're on text 31. Yame matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shradhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karma bihi. One who executes his duties according to my injunctions and who follows this teaching faithfully without envy becomes free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Purport. The injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom, and therefore is eternally true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction, without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita, but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man, with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. So that's encouraging, because, as I've said before, anything that I have to say is inspired from reading this. It's not necessarily that, I do perfectly all that, I encourage us all to do based on the teachings here in the Gita. So, but we try, and that's the best we can do, because when we have that consciousness and, we make mistakes, it is that relationship with Krishna that we're trying to build that is the point of it all. Just like when you offer food to Krishna, Krishna doesn't need the food. He doesn't have a human body that requires nutrients to sustain, the physical systems. So it's not that, it's the love and it's the mood that is imbibed in the offering. We want to exponentiate the love, and so that's what Krishna is he's a fool for love. He's not a fool, but he's a sucker for love, I guess you could say. And like most people are. And so if in Krishna consciousness and among the Hare Krishnas, we try to avoid foods in the mode of ignorance, and those things like onions and garlic are in my jar of tomato sauce, right, that I buy from the store. I don't make my own tomato sauce. And when I offer that to Krishna with love, it's the love that he's hopefully accepting. And so, I don't need to get down on myself because, I had onions and garlic in the tomato sauce. So I guess that's the point. It's our endeavor. When we endeavor to follow Krishna's teachings and his will for us, then Krishna makes those steps towards us as well. Text 32. Yetvatad abhyasuyanto nanu tishtanti me matam sarva gyana vimudamstan viti nashtan achetasaha. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not practice them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and doomed to ignorance and bondage. Purport. The flaw of not being Krishna conscious is clearly stated herein. As there is punishment for disobedience to the order of the Supreme Executive Head, so there is certainly punishment for the disobedience of the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A disobedient person, however great he may be, is ignorant of his own self, of the Supreme Brahman and Paramatma and the Personality of Godhead due to a vacant heart. Therefore, there is no hope of perfection of life for him. So that, due to ignorance, and everybody is in their own, is on their own journey according to the life circumstances, the choices they make. Again, it's not that Krishna is pointing his finger at you and saying, you're not allowed in the kingdom, and so you're banished to the hellish planets. It's like the law of karma is put in place, and that's just the way it is, and you'll have to deal with it. And at some point, hopefully, you awaken to the nature of reality and to your position and relationship with divine. So let's see, text 33. Sadrisham chastate swasyaha prakriter jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows his nature. What can repression accomplish? Purport. Unless one is situated on the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature, as it is confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose to be advanced in the science, but inwardly or privately are completely under the particular modes of nature which they are unable to surpass. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of the material entanglement, even though one may be engaged in his prescribed duties. Therefore, without being fully in Krishna consciousness, no one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or a transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one's position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus, one may be freed from the clutches of Maya. So, referring back to what I said before, like, if somebody is in ignorance and acting without thought and just in reaction to sense desires and sense pleasures, and in ignorance of the nature of the soul and your relationship with God, and is racking up all this karma, right? Even though someone may be in the deepest hole of karma, if they suddenly, for whatever reason, begin to question their situation, come to God, then at any time can someone begin that process of purification, of bhakti. And at that point, like I said before, like when you endeavor 2 steps to God, he makes, steps towards you. And at that point, all it takes is that mercy of the Lord to clear whatever karma you have, because it goes both ways. When you make the endeavor of maybe chanting, making your own endeavor to become a more clear and pure vessel for divine working through you, it's not like all your effort, right? There's so much mercy that comes through, what they call causeless mercy. So despite the fact that you've done this or that or whatever it is you think you might be so unworthy, it's the causeless mercy from God that, despite also how maybe even very little endeavor, if Krishna is so inspired for whatever reason, then you could be liberated at any time. So it also talks about here, that last sentence, or last couple sentences, it is better to be situated in one's position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. So we want to have association with others, that we want to have their moods rub off on us, right? Just like, when they say, if you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. It's like, the same thing. If you want to become Krishna conscious, if you want to practice loving devotion, if you want to learn about Krishna and his pastimes, then you just find association, of people practicing, and then together, you learn, or inspire each other. So association, sadhu sangha, is important. Okay, so I'll stop there. Thank you for joining me today, and always, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. Hare Krishna.